Tonight on CFTK-TV News, the Terrace RCMP recently made a major drug bust. Terrace's police are also looking to find a missing man, and local dentists have not been eager to sign up for a major government program.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cale Maslin, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for today. Late last week, the Terrace RCMP publicized a case that began with police officers seeing a vehicle at a gas station that had a driver and passenger who were both prohibited from driving. The officers then conducted a vehicle stop, noticed that the driver was showing signs of being impaired by a substance, and then the vehicle was searched, which led to the police discovering various bits of drug paraphernalia. The items were said to be consistent with drug trafficking and included amounts of what was suspected to be both fentanyl and crystal meth. Both the driver and passenger got arrested for possessing a controlled substance, and the vehicle's items were officially seized by the police as well. However, the file surrounding this case is still open for further investigation. The Terrace RCMP are once again in the midst of attempting to discover the whereabouts of a missing man. The missing man this time is named Gregory Polowich, and he was last seen on June 13th at 2 in the afternoon and, according to the police, is believed to possibly be associated with a 2002 gray Pontiac Sunfire. Polowich has been described as a 58-year-old man who measures in at about 6 feet tall, weighs close to 179 pounds, while also reportedly having both brown hair and brown eyes. The Terrace RCMP is asking anyone who has any clue as to where Polowich might be located to contact them at 250-638-7400, or if you are seeking to remain anonymous, you can call BC Crime Stoppers instead at 1-800-222-8477. A pair of new art pieces were recently unveiled as the major highlight of an affordable housing complex on Tetrold Street in Terrace that had some serious work done on it not too long ago. The complex is known by the name of Bevan Place, and it was named after a man who was a high-profile voice for Indigenous housing, Mel Bevan, who passed away during the previous fall. The noted art pieces that adorn the side of the building saw one at the entrance designed by Shauna Kiesman, and the three-story piece on the side of the building was designed by Mel's son, Stan Bevan. Around $4 million were spent by Macola Housing and the Provincial Aboriginal Management Housing Association on the complex's upgrades, which include altered landscaping, a new roof, foundational enhancements, better site drainage, and first-time heat pumps. Local dentists have been reportedly hesitant to sign up for the federal government's new dental care plan, but MP Taylor Bachrach said that they're working to get the program rolled out. CFTK-TV's Jaylene Matthews has more.
The new dental care plan provides coverage for those who don't have access to private dental insurance with no upfront payments. The program will be available to any Canadian residents with an adjusted family net income of under $90,000. But due to the number of people who qualify, it's being rolled out in phases. And now seniors 65 plus, people with disabilities, and children under 18 are eligible to apply. But for the program to work, dentists need to sign up too.
The plan is now rolling out. The program is rolling out across Canada. There are a couple of growing pains, and we can't do this without the dentists. So one of the things I was doing while I was here in Rupert is meeting with the local dentists, talking to them about the program. There are 5 dentists sign up here in Prince Rupert, but some of the other communities are a bit slower to come on board. We're looking forward to getting people enrolled in the program and ensuring that the dentist needs are being met as well, because it only works with them.
Bachrach says the program is much needed.
We're talking about people on fixed incomes who might not have seen the dentist in a decade. And if we can get them help, it's going to improve their health. It's going to make their lives a lot better. So I'm doing everything I can to get around to the dentists and have conversations about what their concerns are, and then take those concerns back to Ottawa, make sure the Minister of Health understands what's going on here in the Northwest.
And it's about getting the dentist's administration on board.
I think they're just being a bit cautious about a new program. They want to make sure that there isn't too much administration, that it's not too difficult for their staff. A lot of dental offices struggle to recruit staff and retain staff. So that's one of the concerns that I've heard. And of course the fees. They want to make sure that the program is coming as close as possible to covering their usual fees for procedures. And I think those are reasonable concerns.
Over a third of Canadians don't have dental insurance, and nearly 7 million Canadians avoid the dentist every year because of the high cost. There are already more than 2 million seniors in Canada registered for the dental care plan, and thousands have already seen a dentist. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Jaylene Matthews.
Coming up next, a missing Indigenous people-related march was recently held in Vancouver. Welcome back. It was a momentous day at the G7 summit in Italy, as never before had a pope attended a Group of 7 meeting. Francis spoke about war and peace, urging leaders to ban the use of autonomous weapons and ensure oversight for artificial intelligence. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver has more.
Pope Francis landed in southern Italy in a white helicopter and was quickly ushered to an audience of world leaders seeking his attention. The Pope came to the G7 to raise the alarm about the need to ensure artificial intelligence is used for good and does not lead to injustice and harm. We would condemn humanity to a future without hope if we took away people's abilities to make decisions about themselves and their lives, he said. Just last year, Pope Francis, wearing a white puffer jacket, was the subject of this viral deepfake that showed just how fast misinformation and disinformation can spread. And around this G7 table, a majority of these leaders are currently facing an election in the next 18 months, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He was one of 9 leaders to meet with the Pope privately.
When we think about disinformation at speed and scale and across all the different types of media content that AI can now generate, that poses a real challenge for democracies and democratic elections. And it's definitely something that's on the mind of the leaders at the G7 as they gather here.
One leader who also met with the Pope, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Today, before the summit wrapped, Modi and Trudeau had this brief interaction, a sign some experts say a frosty relationship may be starting to thaw. Canada's already strained relationship with India deteriorated in September when Trudeau linked New Delhi to the assassination of Canadian Hardeep Singh Nijjar on Canadian soil.
Canada does have an ongoing relationship with India, and there's no doubt in my mind that at all diplomatic levels, this relationship is, as best as possible, trying to be repaired.
One unexpected area of conflict at the summit, language in the joint communique around abortion, with Italy insisting it be watered down to remove a direct reference to legal and safe abortions in favor of a recommitment to further promote comprehensive reproductive health. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Bari, Italy.
Members of Indigenous communities across Canada recently gathered in Vancouver for the 3rd annual Memorial March in honor of missing and murdered Indigenous boys and men and Two-Spirit people. CTV's Martin McMahon has more.
I feel good just to be here to show my support to them.
Sage filled the air for the 3rd annual Memorial March in honor of missing and murdered Indigenous boys and men and Two-Spirit people. Hope, too, mixed with sadness for those who never made it home. People coming on behalf of sons, brothers, and friends. This woman here on behalf of 2 of her cousin's sons who are missing.
It's really hard. Yeah, I can't imagine what they're going through, but I just want to show my support to them today.
For the families, we want to bring that awareness forward because they're important too. And our men and boys matter as well.
This man coming on behalf of a friend who died following a so-called Starlight tour in which police in Saskatoon were accused of leaving Indigenous men at the edge of town in freezing conditions.
It's a celebration of honoring our people that have gone missing. It sounds strange to say, but that's what we're doing. We're bringing a good positive message today, but the truth is, hey, it's continued to happen.
And while support for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls has been in focus in recent years, the profile hasn't been so high when it comes to Indigenous men and boys.
And the percentage of men gone missing is larger than women. And this has been going on for 50 years in places right across the country and the U.S.
The march started at the Vancouver Police Department's headquarters before going over the Cambie Street Bridge and wrapping up in Creekside Park. It also featured the arrival of a canoe transporting sweetgrass, symbolizing medicine and healing. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
It's an airborne Canadian first, and it happened right here in BC. A small flight school offered the first ever paid trip in an electric aircraft. CTV's Andrew Johnson was there to document the historic event.
They're pretty excited here at Sealand Flight to be making Canadian history. Technology still has a long way to go yet before planes full of people will be traveling longer distances on battery power, but today's flight is providing a glimpse into our aviation future. The plane is a Pipistrel Velis Electro. It was developed in Europe and it's priced at about $250,000. It runs on two 200-pound batteries that supply enough juice for about 50 minutes of flying time, perfect for a flight school that takes students up for short hops over the city. Electric planes still aren't certified in this country for commercial use, but Sealand has an exemption under a trial program with Transport Canada. So today, a flight instructor is taking up a student who will pay $20 for Canada's first commercial electric flight. Pilots say the plane behaves much like its gas-powered counterparts in the air, with a few notable advantages.
They're much quieter, there's no emissions. Long term, we hope that they're cheaper to operate.
We don't need to use a plane that's burning avgas. They burn about $80 an hour for just a Cessna 172, and a Beaver burns a lot more than that. And then the price for electricity for 1 hour for 45-minute flight is be under $2.
Disadvantages right now. Flying time is limited to under an hour, and the two people on board can't weigh more than about 400 pounds combined. Once plugged in, the plane takes about an hour to charge. I got a chance to go up in it yesterday ahead of today's event and even took the controls for a couple of minutes. The pilot may have regretted that when we started to quickly descend. That control stick is pretty sensitive. Joking aside, I liken the experience to driving an electric car. It was quiet, smooth, and had a surprising amount of power. And fully electric is the way students at this flight school on Vancouver Island will be learning to fly from now on.
Turning to tonight's weather, the North Coast should see some periods of drizzle plus a low of 9 degrees. The Terrace-Kitimat area is said to be getting a chance of showers with their low at 11 degrees, and the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District will also deal with a chance of showers too, but with a low at 6 degrees instead. On the North Coast, the upcoming week will be made up of almost exclusively rain and clouds, but with a high shifting from 16 to 13 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, the week for them is also set to see clouds, as well as rain with some sun too, while the high bounces from 23 to 18 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, the next week or so will be made up of a couple of sunny days, but still clouds and rain as well, while the high moves between 20 and 25 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there is utility work, bridge maintenance, road maintenance work, construction work, mowing, snowing, and several special events. Highway 37 has some paving operations, bridge maintenance, roadside brushing, and frost heaves, and the Telegraph Creek Road has frost heaves as well. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, big changes are seemingly coming to Vancouver's Chinatown area. Welcome back. A new era appears to be on the horizon for Vancouver's historic Chinatown neighborhood. City Council is moving forward with efforts to revitalize the area after a difficult past few years. CTV's Craig Krause reports.
A unique neighborhood to Vancouver steeped in history, Chinatown is gaining the attention from the city as council looks to create a framework to establish Chinatown as a cultural district in the hopes to revitalize the area. A step one councillor says will help protect the city jewel.
There is a lot of complexities, and one of the big ones is how we preserve those really unique cultural associations and businesses that are kind of reliant on a generation that isn't around anymore. So, you know, we're looking at how do we make a Chinatown relevant for the next generation.
A process that will include a new Chinatown Advisory Committee to provide community perspectives. The framework is intended to target the neighborhood's urgent needs, such as public safety, infrastructure maintenance, supports for small businesses, and housing opportunities, something Chinatown BIA says is needed.
During COVID, there were a lot of issues that came up in Chinatown. We had the anti-Asian sentiment, we had graffiti, vandalism, we had attacks on seniors in the neighborhood. And those were not issues that city planning was able to deal with at that time. And with the new approach, we're able to deal with short-term issues as well as looking at what can be done for the neighborhood in the long term.
Now this committee will provide feedback from Chinatown on Vancouver's broader policies and programs that affect the area. A full scope and specific work will then be brought to council in the fall. Craig Crowe, CTV News, Vancouver.
Following a fatal motorcycle crash, a BC United MLA spoke out. A Richmond leader posted a social media video that got backlash after she pointed fingers at the BC NDP for the collision and the aftermath on the roads. CTV's Yasmin Gandam has the story.
Creating a lot of traffic chaos. Even now, a video posted to TikTok shows Richmond MLA Teresa Watt overlooking the entrance to the Massey Tunnel where a motorcyclist died earlier this week. Watt says if the NDP government went forward with the BC United's plan to expand and build a 10-lane bridge rather than keep the tunnel, the situation may have turned out differently.
The 10-lane bridge will have opened in 2022. That will not create such a big traffic chaos arising from this traffic accident.
The crash happened Wednesday morning when a motorcyclist collided with a car and then was hit by a semi. The motorcyclist died and northbound lanes on Highway 99 were shut down for several hours. Comments to the video say her message is in poor taste, with some calling the party, quote, out of touch. Watt declined an interview and instead tells CTV in a statement, the NDP's decision to keep the tunnel has left commuters in gridlock, and the party hopes no further tragedies result from what they call current unsafe road conditions. But this road safety expert says congestion on the roads is inevitable, no matter what the infrastructure.
It's hard to say whether a wider bridge or a wider tunnel is going to operate any differently. Adding more lanes, we know congestion grows exponentially twice what the population growth rate is.
The NDP made scrapping the bridge a promise in its 2017 election campaign, focusing on replacing the current tunnel.
It's not just, throw more money at the problem and build another one. We also need to look at ourselves and say, wait a sec, what can we do about this?
BC United says if elected, they would fix the traffic here on the overpass, and the situation may not have played out the same way. But there's no way to know if that actually would be the case. Yasmin Gandam, CTV News, Richmond.
An update now on the arrest of billionaire businessman Frank Stronach. The 91-year-old was the man behind auto parts manufacturer Magna International and was recently arrested in a sexual assault investigation. CTV's Sean Leathong has more.
According to court documents obtained by CTV News, Canadian billionaire Frank Stronach is facing 5 total charges from alleged sexual assaults spanning nearly 44 years. And it says there are 3 victims. The charges include rape, indecent assault, 2 separate counts of sexual assault, and unlawful confinement. The first 2 charges occurring in July of 1980. Documents list the alleged assault happening in the city of Toronto, saying Stronach had sexual intercourse with a woman who was not his wife and without her consent. Then in February of 1986, an alleged assault taking place in the city of Toronto with a different victim, 2 more charges there. The last charge alleging that Stronach, when he was over 90 years of age, sexually assaulting a woman in Aurora in April of 2023. Stronach was arrested and charged last week. The businessman was the founder of auto parts maker Magna International.
Sean Leathong, CTV News.
And now we turn our attention to the stock market's pre-closure. The Canadian dollar is down to 1/100 of a cent. The price of gold is down $11.10. Oil is up 85 cents. Natural gas is down 12 cents. Aluminum is down $39.50. In Toronto, the TSX is down 98.88 points, the Venture Index is down 2.49, in New York, the Dow Jones is up 106.97 and NASDAQ is up 155.71. Still ahead is a story that provides a reminder on how to watch out for a certain health risk. Welcome back. Now to a skin cancer warning from a familiar face. Kevin Jonas of the Jonas Brothers is sharing that he recently had surgery to remove a common form of the cancer from his forehead and is urging his fans to take care of their skin. ABC's Eva Pilgrim has the story.
I'm a sucker for you. Kevin Jonas revealing he had surgery to remove skin cancer from his hairline.
So today I am getting a basal cell carcinoma removed from my head. Yes, that is a actual little skin cancer guy that has started to grow, and now I have to get surgery to remove it.
Jonas sharing with his fans on social media the before
Here we go.
and the after of the procedure.
All right, I'm all done. Now it's time to heal.
Basal cell carcinoma is the most common skin cancer in the world. An estimated 3.6 million Americans are diagnosed every year.
Basal cell cancers can often just look like a simple pimple that's just not going away. Sometimes they can even look like a scar or a little rough patch. The most common areas that we find basal cell carcinoma is going to be on the head and neck. And I've diagnosed basal cell carcinomas on the scalp, along the hairline, the eyelids, the ears.
Dr. Bo says you should go every year to the doctor for a skin check and pay attention to anything that seems different.
Basal cell carcinomas are highly treatable, especially if they're caught early. The most common way to treat a basal cell carcinoma is usually going to be through a surgical procedure, but it's a minor procedure. It's done right in the office.
As for Jonas, he's encouraging his fans to take it seriously.
Make sure to get those moles checked, people.
A new health center dedicated to serving the French language speakers of BC will be opening its doors in the fall in Vancouver. A statement from BC's Ministry of Health has said that the current Vancouver Urban Health Center cannot meet the demands of the Lower Mainland's gradually growing French-speaking community, even though it does offer primary care in both French as well as English. The province said it hopes the new facility can connect 4,400 people to primary care by 2029. Data provided by the province states that about 6.6% of BC's current population can speak French. BC Emergency Health Services have said in a statement that a teen is in critical condition after they were rescued from a southern Vancouver Island lake. Mounties in West Shore also said that crews responded to reports of a drowning on Saturday afternoon in Langford Lake in the city of Langford, which is about 10 kilometers east of Victoria. Police next said several bystanders managed to pull the 17-year-old out of the water and did CPR on the youth before first responders arrived on the scene. BC EHS last went on to say that the teen was then taken to a hospital for treatment. That's all of our news for now. From all of us here at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.